All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. Of course, you know who I am and you know who this is. This is
Jsnip4.
And he is up visiting, and we're glad that he's made the drive from down at, I think it's Western Tennessee, coming this way is east. So, hey, we're ecstatic, elated, and excited of seeing my brother and my friend again. We have a few things we want to talk to you about because we've been chatting a little bit. And we definitely want to keep you abreast of the things that's going on, because I actually been following him and watching him because he's been busy, but he's been able to keep up more so with the news than I have. And he even says that he's behind with all the stuff that he's been doing. Because, brother, it's always good seeing you again.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Well, you've been at Straitway again. Once again, you saw some of the things we've done. We'll start off with that. What do you think about some of the improvements or the people, or, just your bird's eye view again?
Yeah, last time I was here, all I saw was like bare minimum digging into the ground. We're telling me you're going to put some concrete down. Now, the behind the church building, you've got that opened up, big area in there now. It goes out a little bit longer. It's got all the music equipment in there. Behind that, you had that, I guess, a cabin or something being built right now. Some of the brothers are up there building that thing. It's got the apartment complex, little, what is that? Not a duplex.
Kind of like a fourplex.
Fourplex, I guess you call it, double story. Yeah, they're getting some stuff done. Garden, man, the garden is out of control right now everywhere. Got stuff growing, all kinds of stuff. Man, I was like, man, I wish I had so much stuff at my house. Man, it's looking good too. Weather's real nice. Everything's growing beautifully. I mean, just went in to eat with them, and everybody was in there. So, nice warm welcome from everybody, of course, as always.
As always. Hey, see, when he comes here, he's no stranger. Everybody already knows, because a lot of times in the morning when we're watching, we sit down eating, we're watching videos. We're watching videos that I've done, and we also watch videos that he has done, as well as Pastor Joe Fox. We're going to go ahead and get off into some of the things that we was talking about here earlier. And, of course, we're going to talk about the silver market. We're going to talk about the metals because we all know that some of you are quite upset with some of the changes that have been taking place. We continue to keep reminding you over and over and over again that the fundamentals is the same. These people are master manipulators. I was talking with Brother Joe earlier about how this dog called George Soros, he turns around, he sells all his gold, paper gold. Right before all this crash took place, insider trader secrets, the same thing that your Congress and your House representative, all of them have that we don't have, and this is how they're able to enrich themselves because they are inside the system. But we're watching silver take a beating, we're watching gold take a beating, but have no fear. Continue to stick with the advice that we have been giving you. Especially Joe, he's more so up on this. So Joe, when people are losing confidence because you got these people trying to shake them out of their position.
That's all it is.
That's all it is, right?
Shake this loose ends.
Just master manipulators.
Plain and simple. They know exactly. I mean, these people, in order to take over a country or any country, in order to manipulate the population of said country to okay them to allow you to go to war with other countries and to do despicable things that no human would normally allow, while we just sit here and eat popcorn and watch TV as if nothing's happening. You have got to know how somebody works inside. You have got to know how the human mind works, the body, the soul, in order to take advantage of somebody. So if these people are doing these things, they have to know exactly how they work, and trust me, they do. They know exactly how long it takes the average person to invest in something and then scare the crap out of them by dropping the price. They know exactly how you'll respond. They know exactly what you're going to do, and they know exactly how long it will normally take you to say, man, this thing ain't turning around. I'm all out. I'm all out. So now that we've seen silver go from $21 like in, I think, 2008, they slammed it down to $17. As I've said before, I had a paper futures contract in silver at that time. It's called a mini contract. And it was ultimately it's 1,000 ounces of silver that you get to play with for only 100 ounces of silver worth of money because it's leveraged, and the brokerage firm that allows you to do this fronts you the money, the rest of the money. So the benefit is if the price goes up, even on a mini contract, if the price goes up $1 an ounce, you will just have cleared $1,000 like that. If it goes down $1, you lose $1,000 out of your account. So I had $3,000 in my account, and that was basically, let's see, it costs about $2,800 to have it's about roughly $1,500 for the contract. Then you have to have a maintenance amount in there in case it moves down, so they don't give you a margin call. So I had another $1,000, whatever it was. Ultimately, it was about $2,800. And I was playing the game every day. Hey, I'm up $2,900, up $3,000, $3,100, $3,300. I was up $3,300 like that. Man, this is America. This is great.
Yeah.
I can do this. I don't have to be an expert. I don't have to be on Wall Street. I've got a computer job that I sit in front of my computer all day. And I can put in the beautiful thing is I've got a system here that I log into my account and tell it, I'm going to buy one right now, and then I can even tell it. If it goes down, let's say 15 cents, that would be $150 I would lose. If it goes down 15 cents, sell. Automatically, I don't have to touch it. Put that in there, and if it goes up to this number, go ahead and also sell. I'll take a profit at, say, 25 cents. That'll give me $250. Sell. Walk away. I don't have to stand here. I don't have to be on the phone. It's all computerized. This is America. This is great. New technology nowadays, man, this is awesome. So I get my normal paycheck at work. All I got to do is spend literally 30 seconds logging into this website, set my numbers, and walk away. I know my work's not going to be upset at me for taking 30 seconds to do that real quick, and then walk away. Not have to mess with it no more. And all of a sudden, it's $20 or $21, somewhere around there, 20 and some change, and then I'm looking at the chart, straight down. Not even like a down and a little bit of a, just boom, straight down. $17. Email starts coming into my mailbox within a few minutes. Margin call, brokerage, the place I was using was Options Express. Margin call, please get with us right away. You need to put more money in the account. It's gone down so low, we liquidated your account. Okay, so what does that mean exactly? That means that the $3,300, which means the $2,800 I put into it, plus the additional profit I made, $3,300, was all completely wiped out. Because remember, every dollar move is $1,000. So from $20 and change down to $17, $3,000 gone. And I had to send them a few $100s to catch up because it went down so low.
That's in order to keep your position.
To keep,
right?
not even to keep the position.
Really?
They already sold the position, but because I only had $3,300, and they smashed the price down below that, let's just say it had to go down $3.30 for me to lose my account. Let's say it went down $3.70. So now I'm 30 cents or 35 cents, whatever, 40 cents more than what I had in the entire account. So I got to come up with $300. And they said, we want it wired to us immediately. I was pissed off, and I emailed back, I'm not wiring you anything because it's costing me $20 to wire you money. I've always used my bank account to log into your account and put the money in there. That's what I'll do. I understand it takes 2 days for the transfer to happen. Sorry about your luck. You're going to have to deal with it because I'm not losing another $25. And at the same time, it wasn't their fault. They're just the brokerage firm. They didn't change the price. I didn't know anything about gold and silver then as far as manipulation, anything about that. I just knew I wanted to get in something with gold and silver because it was important from what I started researching at that time. And the market was barely moving. I had already bought some physical silver, had some additional money, said, man, I can make money playing the paper market daily, and if I can make it just a mission to make $100, all I need is a 10-cent move up in one day. If I can find it at the right spot and it moves up 10 cents, so that'd be like silver at $20, and all I need to go is the $20.10, and I made $100. I can get out, and if I can do that every day, 5 days a week, that's a $500 a week additional paycheck I can pay myself for doing almost nothing. Man, sounds great. Hey, only in America, right? This is great. So I got my clock cleaned, lost the entire account. They liquidated it. I asked them, why did you sell it? You know the price is going to go back up. Well, it's automatic, sir. Once it goes down below the amount of money you got in there, it's gone. Happens automatically. I can't stop it, and it wouldn't matter anyways. Okay. So I'm a little pissed off. I then later on find out that J.P. Morgan manipulated the market, and that I think it was Lehman Brothers that went belly up. They had the giant silver short position in the market, so when they went up, all the silver went out. Massive sell order, dropped the price on me, on everybody else. So they cleaned me out, and God knows whoever else. So fast forward to today, I learned my lesson. I also understood and understand now what that meant, why it happened. I'm on a class action lawsuit against J.P. Morgan, which is going nowhere. But I learned the importance of having silver and what 6,000 years of history does and shows us what gold and silver is. So I was able to wait a little while longer, and they smashed it below that $17, took it down to $10. Actually, it was $9 and some change, like $9.70, before I could run out there and tell a friend, let's get some physical silver. I knew at that time, no more paper game. We went ahead and placed an order at $10. And I told him then, the chance of this ever happening where we see $10 of silver again is probably never going to happen again in our lives. So we capitalized as best we could, and still we're a little nervous because we said, well, what if we're wrong? What if, what if we really are wrong? Even though everything in real life's telling me silver and gold's money, and people in high places know it is. What if they're wrong? What if I'm wrong? What if, so I didn't capitalize 100% on that opportunity, but I did capitalize. So got the silver, 2009 comes, 2010, 2011, we have $49 silver. 3 years later. $49 silver. I was a buyer in the $40 range. I was a buyer in the $30 range. I was a buyer in the $20 range, $10 range, and today, with it down to $18 and $19 range, which it's already past that now, it's back up to 19 something. We both just placed an order recently, very recently, a matter of days ago. And if I wasn't sure about gold and silver, and he wasn't sure about these things, and we were on the fence, we weren't sure, I wouldn't dare tell you that I just purchased them. I would just have remained quiet, as a matter of fact, and thought to myself, man, boy, I sure hope I didn't mislead these people.
Right.
And telling them that I always buy silver and keep buying it no matter what, because I'm starting to have second thoughts. There's no second thoughts. Is the national debt, which was in 2008, 9-point-something trillion, it's now 17 trillion. Do you see that that's going to go down? Do you feel in any way, your form, shape, or form comfortable that we'll get our act together?
Well, no, we will not.
And let me tell you why we won't. Very easily, without having to even go into any detail. If it was $9 trillion, 9-point-something, in 2008, and is now practically doubled, it's over 17 now, 5 years later, literally, if we could have paid it off, or we can start paying it off now, we'll get a hold of this and we'll start fixing it. If we could do that now at $17 trillion, and it's basically doubled, why couldn't we do it a few years ago when it was 9? And since it's 9 then, and now it's 17 now, that ought to let you know that there's not a chance in the world that it can be managed and taken down. It cannot. So it's going to go away somehow. How do they do that? Either print more money to pay off those who are holding that debt with devalued dollars because they're printing it, and all the money you owe them, you can pay them by just simply printing it, which is devaluing the dollar. Or you can also devalue actually come out today and say we're devaluing the dollar. In other words, let's say it's $1 today, and tomorrow it's worth 50 cents, just like that. So that also means anybody in the world that's been holding our bonds, our treasury bills, all these 20, 30, 40, whatever years, is going to have that asset, if you will, wake up one day and it's gone. Half of it's just got wiped out. And if that gets wiped out, how do you think China's going to feel? How do you think the Middle East is going to feel? How do you think anybody in the world who's been holding our bonds is going to feel? They're not going to be too happy. And when that happens, everybody will finally understand what's the one thing that was the safe haven. It's going to be gold and silver. And as me and him were talking just a little bit ago about gold and silver, he said to me, you ever thought about maybe getting any gold at all? And I said, I actually used to have a little bit of gold and a lot of silver, and thought one day I probably should get some gold, so I did. This was a few years ago. And then I realized the ratio of how many silver ounces takes to buy 1 ounce of gold. It was 70 ounces of silver at that price to buy 1 ounce of gold at that current price, which was several years ago. It's still roughly the same area. Now, a while back, I made a claim that you would see that ratio come down. It actually was down into the 40s at one point. When we saw that 49 roughly dollar silver and gold was around 1900, that was when that took place. So I did call that. I wanted to make that known because I thought it would happen, and it did happen. And now it's gone back up to the 60 to something roughly 1 ratio with gold, so it's almost near that 70 again. I'm telling you right now, it is going to do it again for sure. And it ain't going to be no 40-something, 50-to-1 ratio.
No.
It is going back down to what nature, whatever historical 6,000 years of history shows us it has always been.
16
Except for the last 100 years, okay?
Yeah.
Last 100 years don't count. So 5,900 years shows us that it's about 16-to-1, sometimes 12-to-1, sometimes 20-to-1. Generally speaking, we'll just say around 15-to-1.
Mm-hmm.
If that happened today, right now, silver would triple in price right this second. It'd be $60. That's where it's supposed to be.
Right now.
So if you know it's supposed to be there, and you also know they're manipulating gold and silver prices, but silver more so, you already know that the prices where they are today should be a lot higher. And if that 60-to-1 ratio goes down to 20-to-1 or 15-to-1, etc., it's going to go 3 times higher than it is today. That's 300% profit, roughly, you're looking at if you stick with silver. So you have that one issue, which is a good reason to have silver. Then you have the other issue, which is that they manipulate the price of gold and silver, both precious metals, so that when that goes away, and it's going to go away, because they are currently in the process of losing control of it. As you can see from the physical market drying up, the prices are going to skyrocket. So would you rather be in gold that is also manipulated, and let's just say it can go up to $3,000, and it's $1,200, $1,300 right now. It's not going to quite go 3 times its value. But if it goes there, silver is going to go way, way, way beyond just 3 times where it's at right now.
Correct.
Because it doesn't take into the account of the 15-to-1 ratio. That's only if it stays at 60-to-1. So currently, as far as what it costs to pull these precious metals out of the ground, gold and silver, any mining company in the world right now, if it sustains where it's at right now, prices today, they'll be out of business here.
We're going broke.
They'll be done. They can't mine it. You're not going to work for free. I'm pretty sure. And I'm pretty sure they have gas to pay for, diesel, machinery, you name it, to dig the stuff out of the ground. The easy stuff has been mined for centuries. So the harder stuff is deeper. Takes a lot more work, takes a lot more effort to get it out of the ground. Therefore, the cost goes up automatically. So that's another factor on top of the other two I just told you, in why they cannot stay where they're at. So they have to go up. Right now, I think the ratio that they come out of the ground is like 5-to-1, gold versus silver. So theoretically, silver should be 5-to-1 ratio with gold. I mean, really, if that's what it takes, 5-to-1 to get out of the ground, same thing. That's really where the price technically should be. But just going with history, I'm going to say it's 15-to-1, which is still phenomenally well. That's why we have to get gold and silver. I did a video the other day. I said, guys, I just bought 26 ounces of silver. Like that. I use JM Bullion. They're fast delivery. They told me that, I know we had some shipping troubles, because I told them that, hey, I've had a few emails saying, hey, I placed an order, it's taking longer. They said it would be next week, now it's a week after, I'm getting a little nervous. I said, don't get nervous. Whenever there's a physical shortage, which is happening right now, at the time it was, it's normal. It doesn't matter who you go to, don't worry about it. So they got it, everything was cool. I placed the order the other day, it was at my house within a few days. He just placed his order, it's already en route. I just placed another order, as I said, for I think 125 ounces. I would not dare do this. He would not dare do this and tell people, we just did it and we recommend you do it, if we weren't sure of what's going to happen. The fact that old Ben Bernanke said, I'm leaving in 2014. I'm done, like really done. And I've already stayed on longer than I wanted to. And he made that claim a while ago, well over a year ago, that, hey, I'm done in 2014. Is basically a hint from an elitist to you and me and him that when old Ben Bernanke leaves, it's probably going to be the telltale sign of, uh-oh, what just happened in the market, in the U.S. dollar? Oh, my God, what's happening right now? And he's going to walk away and say, hey, I stayed longer than I was supposed to. Under my policies, under everything that I implemented, we did see economic recovery, which, of course, they fudged the data anyways.
Right.
But for the average person, will probably buy what he said. Well, it was true. He did. I mean, we didn't have all the problems right this second when he was here. So, yeah, he's right. So whoever takes over is going to have a big problem to deal with. Ben Bernanke himself said in 2002, in a speech he gave before he was ever even a thought of being in charge of the Federal Reserve, before he was ever in that position, His claim to fame is that he is an expert in history as far as the Depression is concerned. That is his speciality. So they interviewed him and said, if the United States was facing another Great Depression and you were head of the Federal Reserve, what would you do to fix things that you've learned? And he said 5 different things. I'm going to take the interest rates to near zero, give the banks, make sure they're flush and we don't have banking collapse. Basically everything that's happened right now.
Right now.
So he's followed through to his word. But there was one of those 5 things that he hasn't done yet. It was all 4. He's caught up on all 4 except the 5th one. And the 5th and final thing, if you want to go look it up, just type in Ben Bernanke speech, November 2002. Look it up on Google. You'll probably find it. It was towards the later part of the month, like November 24th or 28th, somewhere around there. I physically read it, just in case you're wondering. I went and found it. And the 5th and final thing he said he would do is to devalue the U.S. dollar. Cut it down. So again, at $9 trillion, we couldn't pay it off. We've now doubled it to near $18 trillion. So let me go here with you. If we only devalue it by 50%, it takes it down to where we were in 2008. And we couldn't pay it off then. So 50% may not be enough. Do you have any idea what the price of commodities, mainly gold and silver, will do when an event like that happens? The only way that they can set the price right now is through Wall Street. And as everyone's finding out, the false prices on Wall Street don't represent reality. It doesn't represent the reality of how much it costs to take gold and silver out of the ground. It doesn't take into effect of the 16-to-1 ratio that's supposed to be in place, because it's now 60-to-1. And they basically set the price every day on Wall Street. But when they run out of physical metal, the mechanism that they use to set the price, which is Wall Street, the COMEX, will be null and void. It'll be invalid. They won't be able to set the price.
That's right.
So it becomes a matter of who, as the old saying goes, he who holds the gold sets the rules, the golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules. He who has the gold and silver sets the price of gold and silver. So I want to give you the worst case scenario that I'll tell you right now, there's no way in the world this will happen. But it will still make you feel good that if this worst case scenario did happen, it'd still be a great reason to have gold and silver. And again, we are silver guys for the reasons I just gave you. If you invested in Microsoft, Citigroup, JP Morgan, the stock market, whatever, any paper
play the paper
thing,
game.
Plain and simple, which is your pension fund, your 401k, any investment today is in the stock market one way, shape, or form. Can that go to zero? Absolutely. It can. A company can and will, and they do go bankrupt. The shareholders get almost nothing if you're lucky, or absolutely nothing, which is usually what happens. Or you get pennies back on thousands and tens of thousands, $100,000. Here's a check for $5 back out of all that your lifelong savings or investments. That can't happen, and the history is already here. You can go look up every time the stock market's crashed. However, can gold and silver go to zero?
No.
Why not?
Because it's real.
And it takes effort to get out of the ground. No one's going to work for free, right? So it can't go to zero. So when you see these prices that are making you nervous right now, man, I got in at 30, I got in at 40. Oh,
stay the course.
They said it was going to go up, man. They've been saying it's going to go up. People have been saying that, and man, it's been a year and a half now, whatever. It should have gone by now. And again, the elite know exactly how you're going to react. They know exactly how you feel, and they know exactly how much your sheeple mind and body will take before saying, I give up, I'm done with this. The stock market's been rising. Everyone else has been pointing that to me, and I've been telling them no, get gold and silver, and now the freaking stock market's been rising this whole time. Gold and silver's been going down. I look like the idiot. I can't take it anymore, and I'm selling my gold. You sold your physical gold and silver. And guess who was on the other end? Buying it up in droves for pennies on the dollar. You got to understand, as I've said, when the elite want something,
they don't buy on the high.
They don't ever buy on the high. And those bastards won't even buy in a fair market price. They will destroy the asset they want. They destroyed Lehman Brothers. They destroyed
Goldman Sachs.
Everybody. Goldman Sachs will, and JP Morgan, they will take all of these places that, all that's down under. Wachovia Bank, that's gone. Lehman Brothers, that's gone. Do you realize if you look at the price of what like Lehman Brothers and them were at, their stock, their share, it was an incredible. I can't give you the number right now because didn't pull it out right now, but I've looked at it before. It was a very high number for their stock. In other words, it was a J.P. Morgan, it was a Goldman Sachs. It was way up there. This is the Lehman Brothers is a great company. Man, I wish I got into their stock in the beginning. God, I would have made millions. That's the kind of stock they had. When they collapsed, J.P. Morgan bought up that entire company, all the customer accounts, everything that was left, the rotting carcass.
Pennies on the dollar.
Pennies, literally. Pennies on a dollar kind of a price. And they got all of the real assets of that company, while everyone else got crap shares back if you were invested in it. So you, as the investor in that company, got screwed royally. J.P. Morgan, on the other hand, who scooped that company up, wins big time because they got the assets that the company had. And only had to pay a tiny little fee of this little penny. Let's say the shares were at $60 a share. And then it collapsed. And it was down to $2. And then J.P. Morgan says, I'll give you $2 a share to buy out all the shares, which of course grants me the entire company, all your customers, all the accounts, everything, all the business you have for $2 a share. And when you've lost everything and you have no other choice, you have to take whatever it is. And if it's $2 a share, which was above the actual daily price of the share, J.P. Morgan thought, well, we'll give them a bonus, which it wasn't a bonus. They caused the collapse like they always do, bought it for pennies on the dollar. So if these central banks who keep hoarding precious metals, China, Russia especially, as far as countries go, but the central banks themselves are hoarding these things, what makes you think that it wouldn't be a good idea for you to do the same? And if they're doing this while smashing the price, don't you think you ought to get in on it while you can? Now, you may say, well, but they're doing wrong. They're doing wrong to people, and it's not right. You have a right to live. You have a right to survive. You have a right to earn an honest living. And if they are destroying the price on something, it doesn't mean you have to wait to go to some other level higher to buy it to feel good about yourself. These people have destroyed everybody's lives. We're trying to wake people up. No one wants to listen. This is kind of like every man for himself. You do what you know you need to do in your heart to survive and to take care of your family. There's nothing to feel guilty about. The price has been high. The price has been low. The price has been mid-range. There's no telling where today, right this second, in an honest opinion, where I could tell you absolutely positively where the price of gold and silver should be today. I can't sit here and tell you that I know the magic number, because if I did, then I could say, well, I've got such a good heart, I'll wait for it to go to that price before I buy some. I don't know what it is. So that's why we tell you, I don't care what the price is, keep buying. But when they smash it, take advantage. They're hurting you in every other way. They're hurting you on the interest rates. They're hurting you on your mortgages. They're hurting you with the fraudulent paperwork that they constantly do, like with the mortgage scandal and crap. I mean, if they're doing this for... Let me back up for 1 second. I don't think that they're smashing the price of gold and silver just so that they can get it for pennies on the dollar. That's a side effect that they're going to capitalize on. But they have to have a strong U.S. dollar. And if people start going into gold and silver, they have to let you know, don't touch that. It's not a good idea. And more people keep going into it. Don't touch that. We warned you. More people keep going into it. Okay, pull the trigger. Price gets slammed. Scares all the weak hands out of the way. We told you so. Only play with our paper markets and our paper dollars. Don't you touch that gold and silver. That's what the message was. So they're already screwing with you. So you're using their poison against them. When they drop the price to scare you away and to inflict pain on you, if you were playing in the market, which is the legitimate market system, you just got hurt bad. But if you were to buy physical gold and silver, you just made a little hay there. You just got a little bonus for getting it cheap. So there's nothing to feel bad about. There's nothing to worry about. Price-wise, it's going to skyrocket when all this comes to fruition. There's no way around it. There's history that shows this always happens. They did the same thing in like hundreds of years ago. I don't know the exact year where they would, when they first started storing people's gold, they created like the modern banking system. This is where it came from. And they had all these people out there, whether they were rich, middle class back then, it didn't matter. That was when there was no paper money, and I'm talking gold and silver was coin, and that's what everybody used. Kings and queen days, right? And these bankers said, man, all these, you guys lugging all these gold and silver around, sometimes
too heavy
it's
for
heavy,
you.
You get robbed. We'll have a massive storage vault that is just secure as can be. and we'll write you these little slips signed and stamped with our custom stamp so that no one can, forge it, so that all you have to do is leave your gold with us. We only charge a little fee for that gold storage, and whenever you can go across the country, as long as you're in England, let's say, and you can go to one of our other bank storage facilities and show them this receipt, and you can pull it out of there. Mm-hmm. Wow, that sounds easy. I don't got to lug this heavy stuff around. I don't got to worry about getting robbed. The same crap they tell us today why you got to use a bank. And the bankers started realizing, man, these guys don't ever get their gold. They leave it here most always. I mean, there's a big pile of it from this one guy, and he only comes and moves a few pieces from time to time, for God's sake. We've got all this gold in this room that they never touch. So what did the banks start doing? Let's lend it out at interest. So they started lending gold out, other people's gold out at interest. So now they've got interest coming in from other people's gold that they didn't tell the people they were doing. And they've got the payment coming in for the secure storage of that person's gold. So they're getting a double interest rate, so to speak, coming back to them even more handsomely for lending out the gold. And then, of course, market conditions, and there were markets back then, started getting a little scary. Bad times were coming in. They came back. All right, well, I want all my gold today. I don't want the receipt. I want my gold. And the bankers kind of sat there with their jaws on the ground. Uh-oh, we don't have it. It's gone. And they got screwed then. This was hundreds of years ago. And thus, modern banking was created. So if those poor saps back then just decided, I'm going to take this heavy gold back to my own castle or house, and I know they didn't have safes like we have today, but still, you could hide it. That's what they used to do. They trusted in this new system. It sounded good. It was sold great. Everyone's doing it, that kind of thing. So here we are today with history repeating. And believe it or not, even today with real gold and silver, which rich people and very wealthy people have, they store it in banking vaults known as allocated accounts, in which it's safe. We don't touch it. You're the only one that has a key. Okay? And they're finding out right now, and it has been for the last year, they're going back. I'd like to get my gold out of my safety deposit box, basically. And it is either A, it's not there, or B, the gold bar looks a little different. They flip it upside down, and the serial number was not the serial number that they put in there on their bar. So that shows that it was taken out, used, and then put back. So they're doing the same thing. Not only with money, with other assets, but they're actually doing what they did hundreds of years ago, literally with the same gold, the same reasoning, and they're doing it now. So that's another issue that when everyone finally says, well, don't worry, I've got gold. You've been storing out your house? No, it's at such and such company. You better go get it out. Okay, then they're going to cause a stampede at those places who also don't have the gold. That's going to be on top of everything else happening. That's going to show you why precious metals is good to have, because there's already shortages. Then you're going to have that coming into play. And I can already show you examples. I've already talked about this on my YouTube channel, where they're already doing it. One of the main places, I think, was Switzerland. Was supposedly the most secure place to ever have it. And the Swiss banks are telling you, we don't have it. But I've got a receipt. It shows it. I've got a receipt. You have a warehouse receipt. Bar number such and such. Give it to me. We don't have it. But we'll settle with you in paper. Here's a check for the value of gold that today's price.
And have a good day.
Right. And what if that guy had to pay a higher price to get that gold to begin with, to store it here, paid them the fee the entire time to store it for secure purposes, and is now telling this whole time, realizing, why did I pay you every month for the last 5 years, thousands of dollars now, to store my gold when you didn't store it to begin with, and now you're writing me a check for the amount of gold that should have been there. So now I got to go back on the market and buy some more, and you're going to have to pay spot price plus the premium to get that gold back. If you don't hold it in your hands, you don't own it. I don't know if you have anything else you want to add.
Yeah, that's a sucker born every day. Joe just got finished telling you that those who do not know history, you're doomed and you are destined to repeat the same mistakes of the past. And no doubt that's what's going on. I do have another thing I want to discuss here, because I think that the people need to know this, and they need to hear from you, because you're a whole lot more informed about this than I am. We're watching everything going on. You know just as well as I do that we do not get a chance to enrich ourselves through insider trader secrets. We don't have that. We don't have that luxury like Congress does. It's just past us. And we're watching the petrodollar starting to sink. The nations of the world is not playing this game no more. So now we have these nations that have joined together, I think ever since 2009. I could be off a year or two, called the BRICS nation. Brazil.
Yeah, they did start that a few years ago, and are now got a tight-knit system that they're waiting to implement.
Exactly.
And it doesn't include the United States.
And that's called Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. All of them have gotten together now. Now, think about these countries who have gotten together here and who have come together.
It might be Singapore. Might be Singapore. I don't know if it's South
Could
Africa.
be.
It doesn't matter. Just want to make
Right.
point that out.
Just go to YouTube and check it out.
BRICS.
Because, check this out. Because what's happening is that these people are starting to function outside of the so-called dollar, which is the world's reserve currency. Nobody's playing the game. Nobody's buying the hype anymore. You have Venezuela before Hugo Chavez died.
Yeah.
And then you have Germany calling their gold back from America.
But hold on. We need you to wait till the year like 2020 to get that gold back. Even though you put the request in last year, you got to wait till 2020 to get it.
You got to wait
out of the Federal
7,
Reserve.
8 years before you can even get your
Trust
fingers
us, we
on.
got it. We're friends. We got this. It's here. But I need 7 years to give it to you.
You people have got to see the mass manipulation. Not only the media is in on it, all the financial networks are in on it. None of them are telling you the truth. And to get this truth, as painful as it is, you have to go out on the outside sources. So my question, and for Jsnip4 to go into this to try to give us an understanding is, we have these nations that have literally just opted out of the dollar. Basically, that we're not playing your game no more. You're not jacking us anymore. You owe us. You're going to pay us, but we're not playing with you no more. We're functioning outside of the petrodollar. What say of you?
Like you said, the BRICS nations, they already have an agreement that they are going to use. It's probably going to be China's currency, but they have a currency that they've already agreed upon using. And when they had the final meeting, that I think it was their final meeting where they really set this in stone, which I think was in 2012. I'm pretty sure it was in 2012. It was basically known that we're coming together, all the BRICS nations. And the United States was kind of like, oh, hey, can I come? Oh, no. You're not invited.
No Europeans invited.
We don't want you guys over here. This is just us. We got a little thing going on here. And I've heard through, I can't remember the guy's name, one of these, like, not Peter Schiff or one of the, but someone of that nature. I don't think it was Jim Sinclair, but someone like that has already said they already know that whatever currency they've set on, they're waiting for the Western system to collapse. They know it's coming. They're preparing for it. It's why they're buying precious metals out of control right now. Because when it finally goes and the Western system collapses, they'll already be ready, have already been preparing to basically flip the switch to say, don't worry, we're good to go over here. And our dollar that we're using is backed by both gold and silver. And that this particular guy had said they already set the price where they want it to be. And I'm trying to think of what he said silver would be. Not that it matters, because it's going to go much higher simply because of the supply and demand issues that ensue. But it would make you extremely happy if you've been collecting silver all this time and had a nice little pile right now, if they flipped that switch today and just left it where the price where they wanted it. Same with gold. They already have it set. It's already done. They've already agreed upon it. They've already agreed upon the fact that it's going to be backed by gold and silver. They know it has to be because they know that they can't come out and say, hey, we're the BRICS nation, screw the Western world. They screwed everybody. We've all bought U.S. T-bills, and they've devalued the dollar 75%, and we all got screwed. But we got a new system, and it's the same system the Western world has. But trust us this time. We'll make it work. Nobody's going to buy that. Nobody's going to say, oh, hey, it works so well for the Western countries like America. Let's let you guys do it. The citizens wouldn't dare stand for it. So what are they going to say? We have a new system. It's even if they said it's kind of like the old system, but it's backed by gold and silver.
Tangible assets.
That will make all the difference in the world. So if you're the BRICS nations, and if you haven't taken a look at China, especially lately, and how much it has grown as a superpower, as a country, whatever, you need to take a closer look because it is growing by leaps and bounds.
And how much have gold they have been purchasing over
I
the
couldn't
years?
even tell you. It was so many hundreds of tons. I can't even. I have no idea. It's incredible. And India recently, who was having a major spike in their population, saying, "You guys are doing the same crap America's doing. They're fine. We want real gold too." There's people standing in lines trying to get this stuff, and the Indian authorities are saying we're putting massive levies, charges on importing of gold to meet the demand, trying to get the citizenry to say to stop, and they keep raising the bar, raising the rate, and the people don't care and are still buying it. So they finally came out with some heavy-duty stops on this just the other day, where, again, they raised it big time and tried to slow it down. And China basically came out and said, all the excess you guys aren't buying, we'll go ahead, we'll take up. Since you're going to slow down, we'll take it.
But Jsnip, what about the people in America? Why come we do not know this?
Because the whole world suffers and is in trouble because of us. Because of the Western system. And I say us in America, but that includes England, the Eurozone. It's this big umbrella of what they call the Western nations. When you hear on the news or whatever, the Western world, Western nation, that's what they're talking about. They're not just talking about America.
Right.
It's the Western system. And you say, well, but the Western system, this is the most powerful, it's the most profitable, we're the most well-respected, we got the best democracy, we got the best freedoms, we got the best of everything. We're the biggest, America especially is its own superpower economically. We're the biggest one in the world. How is that? I mean, how can we be that and at the same time
Good point.
be the worst place in the world according to the rest of the world? How could they suffer? Well, if you have your own news stations in your own country telling you, this is the way it is, how are you going to know that's not the way it is unless you live outside the country? As I think Rosie O'Donnell said that one time, Rosie O'Donnell. If you want to know what's going on in America, go outside of it and watch the news.
Correct.
So, if you look at, I was just watching it the other day at work. We had freaking Fox News on, of all things. And they actually showed, no, I take that back. I changed the channel. I changed it to Russia Today. And they showed Egypt uprising, massive protests.
Everywhere, all across the world.
If you remember, the guy that was before this new guy named Morsi, the people have spoken, Facebook revolution, they kicked him out, and they had the first democratic vote.
Mubarak.
Yeah, Mubarak. And he is ousted, and this new guy, Morsi, promising all this change, and another Obama, promising this, we're going to do that, no more police brutality, this and that, I'm taking over. And he won the election. This guy's an outsider, represented by the Muslim Brotherhood, which is not a good thing as far as Egypt is concerned, against another guy who was Egyptian himself. And he lost. The Morsi guy, Muslim Brotherhood, won. Guess what the rate was? 51-49. Where have you ever seen those numbers?
Dog it.
Where have you seen those numbers where we got that darn Democrat or that
sound like our last election?
That Republican just won by. We'll get him next time. First time ever, democratic voting process in Egypt, and you mean to tell me that the nation is divided just in half like ours is, from an outsider coming in too. So they stole the election, and days ago when I watched this, it was actually 2 days ago, I see on the bottom of the screen people protesting, 3 people dead, including 1 American. They're closing the embassy down, blah, blah, blah. People are out of control, citing that they are very unhappy with the new Morsi guy because he promised change and has not delivered. If you have a Western power put in your country, there ain't no change coming in your country anytime soon. As a matter of fact, it's going to get worse.
Matter of fact, I will quote you. Change you can't believe in.
Yeah. You can't. How's that working out for you? So at the same time, if that was the elite's plan, it's now backfiring. I can't wait to see how they deal with this. And then there's going to be another backfiring, such as the NSA whistleblower. Now they got to deal with that.
Yeah.
They've got the shortages in silver and gold constantly hitting them. This is going to get out of control. There's no way they can handle all this barrage of stuff happening and maintain control. Nations of the world are waking up. They don't want nothing to do with America. And while I'm watching this on Russia Today, they got pictures of like Hillary Clinton like crossed out. They've got burning of American flags right in the middle of Egypt. The same country we send money to every day, every month. They're somewhat of an ally. We send them, $1 billion, $2 billion, whatever it is, dollars every year. Who would burn American flags? We're giving you guys money. What's wrong with you? But again, if you're in Egypt and you start to see who's controlling your country and who's doing all these things that you don't like and who's doing it, it's back to America. So you're probably thinking they probably would say, give the money back in a heartbeat and screw America. It's what's happening. So if you're in that country that was on the top and life was great, just like the Roman Empire was at one time, you're going to sit here and say, that ain't ever going to happen. It's been this way for so long. It ain't
Normalcy bias.
Normalcy bias to the T. But it's going to happen. It always happens. It has to happen. It must happen because history says so. The cycles happen, and they are not going to be, there will be no exception just because today there's America. I could argue and tell you 2000, well, this is Roman Empire. Look at the Colosseum we built. Look at the technology we had over there. They had to start clipping coins. That's where that term came from, coin clipping, because they couldn't pay it enough. They didn't have getting enough money out of the ground to deal with the massive society they built, to deal with the pension funds. Believe that or not, they created that system, the pension system that they promised, and each politician promised before him, and now the bills are coming due. They can't pay them, so they have to expand and go to war, take over other resources.
Big business.
Still can't produce enough, and it collapsed. So what other country do you know of that has military bases on like 170 different countries?
And war after war after war after war.
There's an enemy
and now
every
it looks
time.
like we're getting ready to go into Syria, which we don't need to do.
We already did it in Libya. That same reasons. I mean, Egypt was kind of the same thing, but we didn't know. The news didn't show that we were involved in that. So we're gonna keep. This is gonna be history. So what does a person do who lives in that country that was on the top and is on its way out? It's gonna get brutal economically. Food problem. Everything's gonna be a problem. Everything that you don't really realize today as not being a problem because you may not see it or recognize that it's going to be a problem, it will be a problem on a dying empire. Everything becomes a problem. The one sole ingredient is usually financial. How do I survive during the collapse? It's usually a financial problem. You have to have gold and silver because you can always, even if you couldn't trade it in for U.S. dollars, in the dollar system collapsed, you could always go to somebody and show them a beautiful looking silver, round, or gold, whatever, and say, I'd like to barter with you a little, and trust me, you're going to have some medium exchange. You're not going to be taking rocks off the ground and, coffee
or
beans.
talent sticks.
Right, they ain't getting none of that. They're getting talent sticks, I'm going to smack you in the head. That's all that stick's going to do. If someone comes to me with a talent stick, I'm going to slap them in the head with the roll of Silver Eagles.
Let's end on this one right here, which is, it is the heist of the century. The hijacking of a country like never, ever before on an unprecedented level. Many of you may not be familiar because over here in America, it's a media blackout. We're well familiar with it and sound with it. We're going to hear what Joe has to say and to give you what happened, where it's at right now, and the lessons that you need to take from this and learn from this, as well as this video in itself. Cyprus. Cyprus was a country, is a country, that played the game, did the system like everybody else did, played the game, did it right and stuff, and ended up getting jacked. As a matter of fact, when the smoke cleared and everything was done, they didn't want their bailouts. But they were forced to take them. And not only that, when it came time for them to make good on what they had owed, the powers that be did not want them to pay them back in euros or paper. They wanted a particular physical asset.
Well, the term getting Cyprus, as they now coin it, is when you have deposits in a bank and you are told, in our country, it's called FDIC insurance.
Correct.
And FDIC insurance means if your bank goes bust, your money in it, you're covered. But only if you have a certain amount, up to a certain amount. And it used to be like $100,000 in America. Then we had the crisis in 2008, which of course is still ongoing, whether you want to believe that or not. And then they upped it to infinity for a short period of time. Infinity, all money is safe in America. Now, that's probably for their elite friends. Now that their elite friends have gotten their money and moved it, starting in January 2013, which has already passed, we're going back down to the $250,000 limit level. So if you have more money in your bank account than $250,000, you could get Cyprus. And what that means is the additional money that you had in your account goes to pay the bill. The government basically flat out needs it. The banks don't have it. So the account holder gets screwed. So at the same time, if you have, say, and I don't know what the limit was over in Eurozone, like if it was 250,000 euros, I don't know what it was. It may have been 100,000. But what is a bailout would be what happened in America. Okay, they just printed money out of the Federal Reserve, put on the taxpayer shoulders, and gave it to the banks. What they did in Cyprus, and is now like the new role model, is called a bail-in, not a bailout, which is where they take your money directly from you in your bank account to bail in the system. So anyone that had above and beyond the insurance level of money in the bank loses it. So the issue is, and here's another one for you, if that were to happen in America, and if you look at, and I used to study this and cover this a lot more than I do nowadays, which is the FDIC insurance. And every time a bank fails, I would go to the FDIC website every Friday. I made a habit of it, and calculate how much money it cost a bank failure that just took place. And there was practically 1, 2, 3, 5, 7 of them every Friday, like religiously. And I would see what was the cost to the FDIC and what bank got that old bank's assets and kind of took over. And I'm just counting. There's $1 billion there. That Friday, there's $500 million next Friday. Another $1 billion Friday. Another $500 million. Just like every Friday. And I'm thinking normally there's $50 billion in the FDIC fund, which is called the DIF fund. So there's $50 billion, and every Friday there's literally hundreds of millions of dollars, sometimes up to $1 billion, coming out of this DIF fund. It's going to go empty here shortly. And so I was inclined to research, well, what happens when that happens, when they lose the $15 billion that they had set aside goes away, and they still need it to fix the problems of banks that failed and make good on that insurance that they give everybody. And I found out that that's it. They only got $50 billion and to cover $5 trillion, $6 trillion worth of deposits in America. So that's like 1% of insurance coverage for what they need. But I also found out that they have the ability to go to the Treasury and say, we need a loan on, I think the maximum amount was $500 billion. So $500 billion. Lend it to us. They have the ability to get that lent to the FDIC fund from the Treasury. Having said that, let's assume the worst happened and they need to go get the $500 billion. That's $500 billion. Okay. There's 5 to 6, 7, somewhere in that neighborhood, $1 trillion of people's deposits in the banking system in America.
Correct.
So $500 billion.
It doesn't
quite cut 5 or 6 trillion in deposits.
Correct.
So if that were to happen here, where's everybody's money going? And here's another thing that I learned from a friend of mine on YouTube, Greg Manarino. And he just made a simple comment one time, and it never dawned on me. As simple and as common sense as this is, I never once took the time to just think about this. If there's $5 and $6 trillion in our banking system from our deposits as a whole in America, all of the citizens, money does not disappear.
Right.
It doesn't just disappear. It has to go somewhere. Kind of like water, kind of like electricity, whatever. You know, the certain laws of physics. It has to go somewhere. And usually it's the path of least resistance when it comes to water and electricity. Money is created. It cannot be, just doesn't just disappear. So if you have all these accounts, and let's just say the worst happens, and they say, well, we've only got $500 billion to put out all these fires. The other $5.5 trillion it's not covered. It's gone. What they're telling you is $5.5 trillion just disappeared. And what I'm telling you is what Greg said. Money doesn't disappear. So where did it go? Who did take their money out, prior to this happening. And if you follow the money trail, you will see that the big bankers themselves, this little 1% of a percent, who hold most of the money, will have gotten theirs out.
That's right.
So that they don't get hit with that FDIC insurance thing, 250,000 limit. I've got billions, tens, hundreds of billions in the bank, and for me and my buddies, they've got hundreds of billions. They've got hundreds of billions. We all knew this was coming because we do this as bankers, so we pulled our money out and moved it elsewhere. Maybe they'll move it to China and their new currency. And then you'll hear the news, breaking news, banks are shut down, something big happened. Syria attacked, Iran and Syria combined attacked the banking system in America and knocked out your account.
So true.
But your mortgage didn't get knocked out. We still got that on file.
Oh, yeah.
But your bank account, they wiped that out and they even got to the backups. So we don't know what you had, to tell you the truth. But we're going to go attack Iran and Syria now, those bastards, for hurting you. But make sure you keep paying your mortgage because we didn't lose that one. And the average person, I hope by then, who have already seen all the crap coming on the news lately, will say, you know what? There ain't no way in hell that this is true. There's no way in hell that the crap I'm reading on the news right now is really true, and that I believe that Iran and Syria actually did this to my country. And we'll hopefully wake up and bring the people who are accountable to justice. But
austerity.
Yeah, austerity measures coming to you. Again, what do you think the Department of Homeland Security is here for? They're here to deal with you when the time comes.
You got that right.
They've been here for 8, 9, whatever, 10 years now. More than that, actually. When did they get created? 2002 or 3? Right after 9/11.
Patriot Act.
Department of Homeland Security, what are they doing? What have they done in 10 years? Nothing. They don't police. They're not firefighters. They don't go in the military. They don't do border patrol. What are they here for, and why did they just buy almost 2 billion rounds of hollow point
rounds
ammunition?
Which would take well over 20-something wars that the United States of America can engage in order to fire up all of those rounds.
What are they here for? That's for you to figure out, and I think we're all going to figure it out here if that trigger gets pulled. What I'm really, really hoping for, and I don't have much hope in faith in our government or the news or anything else, but what I will say, I to go out on a limb and say I hope, is that all the corruption and exposure, the whistleblowing, all the stuff that has just come out, the fact that they said I don't know if you saw this the other day, Flight 800 was actually shot down by the government.
Whoa.
In 1996.
Whoa, really?
It was on the news. They even had it on Fox News. And it went from that to the guy in the Sopranos TV show. Breaking news, get that out of here. Soprano, 51-year-old dies. And then back to the story. Flight 800, leaving New York. Eyewitnesses, camera photos. Saw like a little missile thing in the sky. People taking like photos of their family. In the background, there's like a streak of a missile going by. This was years and years and years ago. And the story was that the fuel tank ruptured. It blew out of the sky, landed in Hudson Bay. And they pulled the wreckage out and put it in a warehouse, pieced it together. The FAA, whatever government one that looks at it all, says, this is the official story. Yeah, it looks like a fuel tank ruptured. So days ago, right after the whistleblower testimony from Snowden, whatever his name is, Edward Snowden, they have 6 former, some of them whom were lead investigators of that incident, on the news, word for word, out of their mouth, telling you, we waited a while because what was the reason he gave? They would have lost out on retirement. They would have got their retirement.
Yeah, there's usually a grace period. Well, there's usually a time that they have basically a gag order on when you have a security clearance or something like that, or you have until it gets declassified. They have a period of time that they can't speak. They can't speak at all because then they would jeopardize themselves. And once that time is over with, I forget the word escapes me right now, but you know what I'm saying. Then I guess I assume that they just decided to talk.
These 6 guys, 2 of them were speaking, and they said we filed a petition with the FAA to reopen the investigation because the airplane is still in the same warehouse. It hasn't been touched. They stormed there for almost forever. It's still there. He says when this happened, we got the airplane and started piecing it together, started doing our investigation. I noticed damage where this event happened, inconsistent with anything on the plane that could blow up, including the fuel tank, and noticed that the explosion occurred outside of the plane. and it blew up from the outside in. Well, there's nothing on the outside of a plane that can blow up, so I immediately, through my training, knew, let me call in a specialist to do explosive testing to see if any kind of explosive device did this.
Mm-hmm.
And the results came back positive. And as soon as that happened, there was some FBI guys there, and there was always 2 CIA guys there. As soon as I did that, and those tests came back, those 2 CIA agents escorted me out of the building physically. I was off. I was off the thing. I was it. It was done. Wasn't allowed back in there. So the other thing is, I already found out enough to write my report.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote it. And then the official report that everyone gets to see came out based on my report.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that I had in there, it was changed, completely wrong what I said, what I found, gone. So the reports were falsified, and that's why we need a new investigation. Something else happened, and the theory was back then that a Navy ship, local, fired a missile at it just to knock it out of the sky because somebody on board was a high-risk target they didn't want leaving the country. So I thought to myself, that's pretty despicable if that's true, that you would kill innocent people to get one guy. Why couldn't you just call the pilot, have the FAA call that pilot, this is the CIA, this is the FBI, get him turned around now. The pilot's in charge. I mean, whoever's on board isn't going to do anything. It's not like the guy had a bomb. It was just someone leaving the country. Get him to land the plane, we'll go get the guy. Well, they may not have reason to charge him with something. Maybe he knows too much, they just want to kill him. We don't want him back. We want to kill him.
So at the expense of American lives,
so
our government don't mind collateral damage.
Yeah, that's the theory. And of course, it's a conspiracy. You guys are absurd.
The theory, yeah.
And now, and again, I remember seeing a photo of people, like a family photo, and there's this thing with the little missile fire coming out of the back in the background. This was years ago. And I also remember, it may have been on Alex Jones' show that broke the news at the time, which was years later, by the way. Because this happened in '96, I believe, but it was years later. And the parent of a kid that was on the Navy ship that did it, the kid father was on the news, or I don't know if he was with Alex Jones or just on the news at the time, I can't remember, saying, my son is on board of a naval craft, and the words out of his mouth was, Dad, we did it. So that means the Navy ship fired the missile. So then my next thought was, well, maybe they were doing target practice, and planes are leaving the airport and they're like locking on to just maybe for naval purposes. I don't know, and they accidentally fired a real one. But then I started thinking, this is back then. I was thinking to myself, there's too many checks and balances when you're going live.
That's right.
So I started thinking, what was the reason? Who was on board? Give me the freaking manifest of the passenger list. I want to know who. Maybe we can find something out. But that was the end of that. So then years later, and this is now days ago, it comes out the FAA investigation. The guys who were doing it are saying we were all lied to. We were forced to change what we said, and there was a bomb or something that blew up outside, causing damage on the outside. Whether it was a missile, a bomb, something was on the outside in, not the inside out. Complete false story. We lied to the American people, and we have to get this out. So I saw that the other day. You got to understand, there's probably some father or mother or someone related to someone on that plane who is probably thinking they want to go kill somebody to pay back what just happened. So my question is, who were the 2 CIA guys? Who were the 2 CIA guys that forcefully removed them? And the FBI there too. And it's so amazing that these are the 2 organizations that are always on the scene. They were the ones that found 9/11, the skyjacker's his passport unscathed, unburned, next to the World Trade Center rubble. Yet the biggest piece of anything in the building that remained, according to a firefighter who was on site, was a partial telephone keypad, not even the full keypad. The biggest thing he found. But they found this guy's unburned passport that was a hijacker. Oh, we know who it is. He's a terrorist, and that we found it. Who found it? FBI agent. The one planting the evidence.
And who they work for?
Federal government. So you have the FBI there, you have the CIA there, Flight 800. I mean, I'm not going to say that I know right now it was shot down because, but I'll say 99.999%. On the other evidence, it's obvious.
And the history of our country is not looking good.
So if they did that, and you're on the fence on 9/11, I don't know if they do that. If this is now fact, because these guys said something blew up on the outside, consistent with missile damage or an explosive ordnance. We reported that. I had a bomb explosives expert come in and do sample testing, residue, came back as absolutely something blew the plane up, not the gas tank. An ordnance did it. What else could it be? It wasn't Al Qaeda with the heat-seeking missile on the Statue of Liberty waiting.
No
for
RPGs ready to go off.
No, it was fired. So if that happened, and that's pretty unbelievable evidence now to say absolutely that happened now, you have no choice but to fight that instinct inside and go back and look at 9/11. And if you want to watch a video that's not too crazy for you, there's one called Loose Change Final Cut.
Very good video.
Take a look at it. See what you think. So,
make your own decision. And then start making moves to preserve yourself, protect yourself and your family from this tyranny that's going on in this particular society that we find ourselves entrenched in right now. Civil liberties are eroding all around the globe, all around the country. Government grows. The fear of the people are growing against the government. And whenever you have stuff like that, you're setting up for a revolution. Ending this on a biblical note, America, you finished. You are literally finished. The Bible clearly lays it out that you are going to be destroyed by fire. And all you people need to know that. You really truly do, because everything is playing out exactly just like the scripture says. You know, I want y'all, I'm going to leave on this note right here. I have a final word.
absolutely.
We'll leave on this note right here. All you people out there, thank you for listening to us here today. I'm thanking the Most High that he sent Jsnip4 up here to be with us, to inform us, keep us abreast of the situations, everything is taking place, especially in the metals market. The only reason why we do this is because we want you to preserve, like Lindsey Williams says, your dinner table, because nobody's going to protect it but you. And so you need to have the information, the right tools in front of you to make informed decisions. You know, we are in some times right now that you need to start paying attention to the way that the news media is reporting news. It's like they have your attention on this for 1 minute, and then the next second it's on this, and then the next second is on this, where you really can't truly lock down their position in what's really truly happening, because so many things are happening so fast in this world that we find ourselves in right now. I hope that you have ears to hear, and I hope that you take heed to wise counsel, especially men that not only are just telling you, or let's say we're informing you, but take note and take heed, not only just the words that are being said, but take heed to the action that is behind the words, to show that we actually believe what we're saying. I hope that some way, somehow, that you've heard something here that will stimulate your mind and your conscience, that would get you out of the bizarre behavior that seems to be an epidemic here in America, and that you would start considering and making moves to preserve yourself, your family, and those who you love that is around you. If you don't take action, then nothing's going to be done. There's an old saying that evil triumphs when good men do nothing. This is Pastor Dowell and
Jsnip4.
see you on another side.